Gotcha.
So, but tobacco
All right,
tax
well,
here is
definitely not going to be staring at this as I talk about the podcast today.
No, absolutely not.
It's an engineering school, so there's just dudes everywhere. I think she ended up meeting her husband there. But I was like, hey, do you maybe talk to any guys there? She goes, yeah, I said the same thing, that the odds are good, but the goods are odd. She ended up finding her husband. It worked out. So
That's good. That's very good.
Yeah. But it was fun. It was a good time. I don't know where she's at now. But I know she's doing well. See her on Facebook every now and then. One of those deals. But I mean, I don't really talk to any of my teammates.
Yeah.
I haven't in years. And it feels bad because like you build all this relationship with all the students, and it's like, well, I don't talk to any of the students either. There was one guy I talk with every now and then on Snapchat, but that's about it.
Sure.
But that just it's very difficult to be like friends with someone when they're halfway across the country.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you got a podcast together, that makes it a little easier.
Yeah, I mean, it forces us to sit down and actually talk,
right?
So, yeah,
talk about life, liberty, and the pursuit of friendliness.
Pursuit of friendliness. That's the world I know.
That's the world that we are as friends.
Oh. Okay.
We're not talking about we're not talking about the country. Ew, okay. Gross. No. No, we're talking life, liberty, and the pursuit of friendliness, James.
Okay.
That could be our slogan for the podcast.
Life, liberty, the pursuit of friendliness. I'll think about it.
Let us know in the comments and send us an email if you agree.
There you go. So speaking of which, welcome everyone to Those Catholic Gamers, a podcast where Catholic guys come together to talk about cigars and the Catholic faith. I mean, video games. That's what we're going to be talking about today.
Video games and faith.
Yeah. I am James, your host, and today, as always, I have with me Connor.
It's me, imaginary, smoking a cigar.
I can't wait. Man. Alrighty. So anyway, today we are talking about Bioshock Infinite. So Bioshock Infinite is a first-person shooter developed by Irrational Games and published by 2K, and it was released back in 2013. You play as Booker DeWitt, a man who with a shady past who has been told to find the girl or give us the girl and wipe away the debt. As you proceed, you are first brought to a lighthouse and you are shot up into the sky where you go to the floating city of Columbia. There you are recognized by a brand on your hand stating AD and are claimed to be the false shepherd or the false prophet. The city, which at first seems a bit idealistic, turns out to be a kind of racist hellhole of southern separatism and just kind of insanity.
Yeah, it's a very American exceptionalism.
Yeah, but it's got this like heavy American religious vibe, like
it's like a pseudo Protestantism, like.
Well, like so they're full on praying to Father Washington and Father Franklin and Father Jefferson, and like as soon as you go through the baptismal rite at the very beginning, so. Well, I definitely have things to say about this game. On that level. But so we'll continue here. You eventually find your way and free a girl, gal, I should say. She's about 18 or 20 years
old.
Elizabeth. And she is being protected by a creature called Songbird. It turns out that Elizabeth has some sort of uh, parallel dimensional universe warping ability to jump between worlds, and through or by teaming up with Elizabeth, you are able to jump through and kind of piece together how did Columbia come to be, who is Vox Popula, and what are the different outcomes if Elizabeth is never saved, or if Elizabeth is saved. And you come to the conclusion that this Comstock, the man who's in charge of Columbia, is in fact Booker DeWitt. But
Whoa!
he decided.
Whoa! Spoiler alert.
Yes, he decided to receive a baptism after, because it turns out he was a Civil War veteran, and decided in one path of life to receive forgiveness, and that took him down this pseudo-religious path where he creates the world of, or the floating city of Columbia. And the other one where he rejects baptism and he becomes Booker DeWitt, grizzled, deflated veteran, being eaten alive by his past sins. So
yeah, it comes on. This is actually a prequel to the Bioshock.
it's a prequel, but it's also not. Because of the time warp, parallel universe, they tie it together where they actually do transport to the underwater city of Rapture. And in the DLC, Elizabeth actually goes into the city of Rapture and actually kind of helps cause the civil war that takes place. And that's a famous portion. And then we'll dive into a little bit on the discussion side of the story. But I don't know. I have thoughts. Anyway,
so it is technically a prequel because this takes place in 1912.
Yep.
And Bioshock takes place in the 1960s.
Yeah, so on that timeline, that would be accurate. But for me, it seems like this is not exactly a true prequel, because the events of this game don't play directly into Rapture itself until they try to tie that in with the DLCs.
Yep.
But anyway, so at the very end, you come to realize that you are Comstock. You kill Comstock, and then you are brought back to the baptism that you rejected after committing your sins at the Battle of Wounded Knee. And this is where many different kinds of Elizabeths appear and drown you. And as Booker is drowned, because Elizabeth is Booker's daughter, and this all is taking place before she ever existed, she disappears as he dies. In a post-credit scene, A. Booker awakens in his apartment on October 8th, 1893. He calls out for Anna and opens the door to her room before the screen cuts to black.
It is very, how do I say, butterfly effecty.
Yeah, so they were when this game came out, string theory was all the rage. I don't know if you remember this.
I do. Time travel was like everywhere.
Yeah. So time travel, string theory, parallel universes, parallel dimensions, multiple dimensions. It was what was in the zeitgeist. And this definitely was trying to intertwine a lot of those quantum mechanical theories into this odd kind of reality breaking, just kind of this reality breaking kind of game.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when it first came out, everyone was like, oh my gosh, my mind is blown, and I had to learn
Yeah.
all about, I had to like sit down and go to a college course on quantum mechanics to even understand all of this, and yada yada yada. And
No, you don't.
well, yeah, well, I'm going to say it now. It doesn't hold up.
Yeah. I
There's
haven't played it in a while.
there's a lot of holes. There's a lot of holes in the writing. There's a lot of holes in the theory. So this game came out, and it was, pretty much anything with the name Bioshock on it was very well received. But the problem is that it's just they were focused almost too much on frosting, and when you actually bite into the actual story, there's just really not much there actually, and it becomes so convoluted that you become so lost, and you almost get the understanding or feeling that the writers didn't exactly know what they were doing either.
I mean, I would disagree.
Okay.
I would disagree. I feel like the story did a really good job. I mean, coming off of Bioshock 2, which they almost completely ditched a story, right? So you come off of the first Bioshock where the story is very tight knitted and very on a bow, and like you kind of are just going about, and then there's the craziness that is the end, and then the sequel happens, and you basically become a big daddy, and it's kind of feels like a Bioshock 1.5 because it doesn't actually feel like a sequel. It just feels like the first game. And then with this game, they really were like, okay, let's go back to our drawing roots. Instead of going underwater, we're going to go into the sky, and we're going to give you new mechanics. We're going to beef up the story. We're going to, instead of you being instructed to do stuff, you are the best. The story itself, I feel like, is a unique story, especially within the gaming sphere. Like, yes, there might be holes. Yes, it's kind of this space-time continuum, and like teleporting is like, okay, yeah, that's okay. But like you do connect with Elizabeth really well. Like, it makes the game, the way that they tell the story really makes you kind of feel fond of Elizabeth. Like, she's a good sidekick. She is very helpful actually, which is nice. So you do have it, like, feel like you have a connection with Elizabeth through the story. And then the ending, especially since you spoiled it without saying spoiler alert, like it is a kind of a surprising ending. Like, you kind of have an idea that it's happening, but until like right before, then you're just like, okay, here we go. Oh wait, I am him. Oh wow, okay. So it is. I mean, I really like the story. I feel like it does a good job for what it is. And I mean, it kind of sets you to the path of like, okay, not everything is peachy green. Like, right, Bioshock 1 is very grungy, dirty, and like very pessimistic on everything. Like, everything is just ugly. Whereas Bioshock Infinite gives the allure that everything is fine, but you just know deep down, like, hey, this is too perfect.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I view. I really liked Infinite. I didn't like it as much as the first game, but I would definitely say it's Bioshock 1, and then Infinite, and then Bioshock 2. And then I don't know if there's any other. I think that they only made 3. I can look it up though. And it's, yeah, well, Irrational Games is defunct. They went defunct in February of 2017.
Yeah.
So, but they made best known for two of the Bioshock series, System Shock 2, Freedom Force, and SWAT 4.
Yep.
So, and they originally were going to do the XCOM game, but apparently they didn't, which is a fun. Ooh, that'd be a fun game to talk about.
XCOM?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on the list.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Even though James completely wiped my butthole in that game.
Yes, I did approach it a little bit differently than you did.
Yes, you're a little more methodical. I'm more of a run and gun, and you're more of a think ahead. That's probably why I don't think I would like Civ.
Yeah, yeah, anything strategy for you, it doesn't seem to be your forte. Just because you want, it seems to me you want more action right away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
anyway,
yeah. Let's see here. So that essentially is the story. Yeah, and like I said, I'm torn. I can see how this game is very, very good. But at the same time, it's just like I said, there's so many holes, there's so many gripes that I have about it, especially with the overarching theme. On the American exceptionalism, the Dune-like quality of trying to religion as the opiate of the masses. The not glorification of the Vox Popula group, but the because you do get to see that on the back end they're actually not great either. They're essentially a group of terrorists, communist terrorists that are wanting to. Honestly, it doesn't even make sense because it doesn't seem like it's like they want to overthrow the city, but they're also in the sky where you could just tear the whole thing down. I don't. It's
Yeah, the whole being in the sky kind of complicates a lot of things because, especially with the railing, right? And we'll get into gameplay more a little bit. Like, how would the railing take place, right? Like, how are you able to attach all these floating city of these different floating platforms?
Yeah, if you're able just to attach or disconnect, what's the point of having the railings anyway?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And how
So
do you control that if it's all weather balloons? Aren't you kind of suspect to the wind? Like, what if there's a wind that picks up?
so they did talk about something about what was it? It's the those two twins that keep on showing up throughout the
Yeah.
game and have your character make choices because essentially they're trying to figure out which quantum reality they're existing in at the time. Oh gosh, what is their names? Okay, it'll come to me. I'll bring it up later. But the it's like Lutece, Lucida twins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Essentially, they are each other from different realities, which is weird to think about.
Yeah.
And but so they're always trying to figure out what reality they're in, what reality they're existing in. Yeah, but that what was it? Rosalind, the female twin, came up with the ability, this technology for the city to float because it's not just hot air balloons. It's like an actual particle, quantum particle that is
Yeah.
keeping these things up. So
Which
I
is
don't know.
kind of wild to think like that far ago. Like, how are they able to do this?
Yeah, yeah. It's just I don't know. There seems to be a lot of hand wavium kind of.
Yeah, it's just like, just go with it.
It's a hand wavium kind of science at times, but yeah, no, it's just I yeah, I don't know. The themes are almost too heavy-handed uh for me to really enjoy it. It's, like it's like racism is bad, and it's like
Yeah,
yes it is. Like you
you're
don't
not wrong.
you don't have to show me the what was it? It's like right on the first level. It's like, welcome to this idyllic world, and oh, you're the bad guy. All right, we're going to attack you now. And then it's like the first major building you go into is dark and aboding, and it's like the Fraternal Order of the Raven, and it's
Yep.
a giant statue of John Wilkes Booth, and he's glorified as a saint for killing the demon or the devil of Abraham Lincoln, and it's like this is not subtle.
No, it's
Bi-
not.
Bioshock, I would say, is definitely more subtle. They were definitely more heavy-handed. Um,
Yeah, but
and
in
it took
Infinite,
place as well.
they give a lot better on the whole brainwashed, right? Like you feel a lot more of the people that you're talking to are more brainwashed. They're more kind of drinking the Kool-Aid of what's going around them, and they're putting a blind eye to everything else. Whereas with Bioshock, it's more realistic in the sense of you could just see the humanity that's lost all of these people, and that they've gone down. So you can't like
Sure.
you're more driven to save the children, right? Like you're more driven to see those and follow the path. And then like they kind of got rid of the whole idea of choice in this game. Like there's not really any kind of moral standing choices that you can make. You just kind of go with whatever the plot is.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I think that really the only time you ever choose is the necklace for Elizabeth, and it's either a bird or a cage.
And it
But
makes no difference, doesn't it?
it doesn't make any difference.
Yeah. Which is yeah,
Yeah.
like and that's like
So
the first thing you pick, right? Isn't it? I'm pretty sure. One of
no,
the first
actually,
things.
I mean, once you actually have Elizabeth with you, yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
the first thing that you do when you actually get in, right, is the heads or tails game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
remember this? Now, I
Yeah.
could have sworn that you actually chose to say either heads or tails. You don't.
No.
You just hit E or F or whatever, and
Yep.
and then he
It
just
just
calls
goes
it.
for it.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. So it's a frustrating game for me because I can see what they're trying to do. And for me, or at least for me, it seems like I can see the things that are falling short, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just very it's frustrating because it feels like if they were able to just step back and not be so in your face, um, in the messaging that seems to be what they were trying to push.
Mm-hmm.
Um, th- I think this game I would enjoy this game more.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so those are my thoughts on the game. Gosh, what was it? This came out 2013, so I was either finishing up my first year of college or had failed out and was working construction.
Yeah, I was in
March
college.
26, 2013. I was failing out. Failing out of school.
Mm.
Um, so I do remember one of my friends. He never even got through the first level because there's an
Oh,
offer for baptism at the very beginning, and then you
yeah.
have to like just uh, you have to hit E and then you continue on. And he's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not participating as a character in a false baptism. And I was like, man, actually good for you. Like he just put the game down. He's like, you know what? I'm not doing that. Huh. And so I don't know if he ever went back and continued through. But yeah, there's a lot of religious that's another was one of my biggest gripes with this is there's so much religious
connotation
connotation and verbiage without like any of the understanding or religious or theological complexity. Is very much like it's I don't know. It's like watching the movie Dogma again. It's like it's being slapped in the face, but they don't really understand what they're trying to critique or make fun of.
Yep.
Right?
They're just critiquing religion in general.
Well, Christian, quote unquote, Christian, American Christian, quote unquote, religion.
Right.
So, but yeah, that was kind of my biggest gripe with this, but yeah, anyway. So sorry, that was a bit ranty, more than usual, but
it's all right.
So, well, let's get off of this and let's talk about the real highlight about this game, and that really is Elizabeth.
Yeah, no, 100%. She
go ahead.
She has one of those characteristics where she's very feminine, but very. I hate to use this word because it's not exactly, for lack of a better term that comes to my head right now. It's more of like an empowered feminine sidekick. Like she is not like there's at no point you need to really like save her in game. She doesn't like she can do things on her own, but she's also needs you to help her out.
Mm-hmm.
Which as a man, like that's what you like desire, like, or that's what I would desire anyway. Like having a woman that doesn't need protection, but not for the sake of because she's a boss ass woman, but because she needs you as well. Like your team when you do encounter her. And yeah, she just has that personality that you're just drawn towards.
Yeah.
And like she'll help you out. Like she'll use her hairpins to open doors and like get you food and med kits and ammunition like throughout the game and stuff. So it's just easy to like, instead of having a sidekick that you're just dragging along the whole time, like you're just like, oh no, you're helping me out. Like you're not useless. Yeah. And just her whole character design is great.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, I really enjoy Elizabeth as a character. She brings a lot of life to this game, and she is a really good pairing for Booker, which is really, really nice. The biggest gripe, especially with most video games, of course, is that kind of what's the term?
Annoyingness. There's so many like sidekicks you have that they're touted as important, but then you're just like, I could do this so much better without you.
Escort.
Yeah.
Essentially, I mean, when you really boil things down, Bioshock Infinite is an escort. It's a giant escort quest. But it works because Elizabeth is able to hold her own. She doesn't get in the way, which is a really big problem in video games, is when you have these escort quests. These people are the ones that you're escorting.
They get stuck on ledges, or they get
like, attacked, or
they gotta turn around and save them like 20 times.
Yeah, and then if you don't do it in time, they'll die and they have to reset, and it just gets very, very frustrating, right? Elizabeth is almost like a invisible second hand, uh, helping you, the character, helping Booker get through the story, and to wrap up the entire to wrap up the realities that is their relationship as father and daughter, and the reuniting of that, because she's actually taken away by Comstock. And what was it? The whole reason she's able to split realities is because a little bit of her pinky finger was separated when the tear closed. So she has been existing, quote unquote, in two different realities at the same time, which has provided her this ability to cross realities. And the twins have brought you in to, I believe, kind of. Well, and this also here is another issue, or it's like, give us the girl and wipe away the debt. Okay, well, what is the debt, and why are we giving you the girl?
Right.
Those themes are not exactly always gone into well. You kind of get the feeling that maybe you as Booker sold Elizabeth to Comstock so that you could
carry on to like kind of a sell your soul to the devil kind of.
Well, or just you're a man without purpose, and you're a man without purpose, and oh, there's the answer. Okay. So you've gone down to you're drinking, you're gambling, you have no more money, you've sold off your daughter, and you get roped back into it because one of the twins doesn't like what Comstock has been doing, so he convinces his other twin, separate yet same reality person, to bring Booker back to the reality where Columbia exists to rescue Elizabeth. But why Booker? Right? That has always Booker. This is never really brought up well, I don't think either. And so, or if it is, I did not get it on my playthrough. So, but that brings up another issue with it.
I mean, it's creating like their different timelines, right? Like this is the timeline that Booker created, right? So, like that's why time travel is so interesting, because you can, or different universes, like there could be a universe for anything. That's like what string theory teaches, right? Like there's so many alternative universes that anything could happen, is the whole idea of it. And so like with the different tears, you're going into different space-time continuums and different universes. Like in this universe, it's just because Booker is the one that carried it out. Like he created this whole I want to say, city and like utopia or dystopia from about it. And like when you say, okay, at the very end where he's in a different universe, right? Like that is just a different universe where he never had, where his daughter killed him, right? So, or Elizabeth. So like that, and that just gets to be messy, right? Like it just creates a whole like, does that make sense? Not really, but like the whole idea of string theory doesn't really make sense either. Like the idea of like universes, like, right? Like there could be a universe where me, you, and you, dear listener, are all sitting together actually recording this podcast together, you know? Like you could argue that, but does that make sense? No.
Yeah, very much so. I guess Yeah, I don't know. We've been going off. Well, I should say I've been going off on a lot on this, so we'll have to push on here. Let's talk about that gameplay. There are some very important developments in gameplay in this, and Connor, would you like to discuss that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Excuse me. Yeah, there are a lot of different like weapons, and like they don't have any carryover weapons really from any of the other um series. It's a unique set of guns. You can carry two guns at the same time, which is wild because in the first game you can only carry a gun with your specialty. Well, now you can do two guns at a time and then shoot your little lightning bolts and disabling and things like that. And yeah, there's actually Booker has health and a damage absorbing shield that you get from which is not in the first game. You only have a health bar in the first couple games. Yeah, and they're just kind of going about very much part of the game where it's also a lot more difficult compared to the first two games. They added a new difficulty level. After you input the Konami code, you can go to and play in 1999 mode, which is like an homage to like arcade games because that's how they got people to play more. Is they just make them really, really ridiculously hard. That way, you kept throwing more coins into it. Yeah, and I mean, it has a lot of the same stuff as well. Like you have different vending machines that you buy things from. There's also another hook, which is a big part of the game, which allows you to grapple onto different railways to go from platform to platform. So it adds a lot more verticality into it. It makes the map feel a lot bigger, which I honestly wasn't the biggest. I feel like I kept getting lost in this game compared to the first two. Like first two, you feel like you're confined and you're underwater and you can only go so far. Whereas this is like you just feel like you could go anywhere, and you really do lose track of where you're at.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest gripe with this game is like it's so open ended and so big that you just I don't like it, right? And we're now after this game we're kind of getting into the open it's kind of the death of the linear games. It's becoming more and more prevalent that games are more open world, and now that's all you have. Games pretty much is open world games, whereas like Bioshock, the first one, is a very linear game. Like you can't deviate off the path at all, really. And I kind of miss that type of gaming, to be honest with you. Like it's like the Batman Arkham games, right? The first Arkham game is a very linear game, and then you get into Arkham Asylum, or not Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and it kind of, was it Arkham City? Yeah, Arkham City had kind of a quasi-linear open world kind of same feel, and then you get Arkham Knight, and it's all open world, and it's just like, ugh. Open world is just it destroys the pacing of games, right? Where you lose track of I need to go do this because something's going on. Oh, look, a side quest. Oh, look, something like this. Like it's the Skyrim, right? Like, oh, the world is coming to an end. Oh, wait, someone approached me. Oh, well, let's go deliver some cabbages.
Yeah, it's almost the Skyrimification of games.
Well, it's the Grand Theft Auto-ification of games, because Grand Theft Auto was the first one to really nail open world aspect to it.
Sure.
But theirs is also different because they do a lot better job at open world because they only present you certain quests at a time, rather than completely doing a quest that feels like it's totally out of place. Like if you're playing a Grand Theft Auto game, the quests feel like they're actually linear based, but you could also go and do whatever you want beforehand. So, but yeah, I think I don't know. Do you have anything else to say about it?
No, I think you really hit the nail on the head there. This game is a little bit different. It's definitely leaning into the way in which first-person shooters in that era, 2010 to 2015, 16, used to play.
Yeah.
Where you really only had two options uh, for weapons, and you could cycle between the two, and then you could always exchange those out for something else. If it was like lying in front of you, but you would lose the other option. And that was
Yeah.
definitely a change from Bioshock 1 and 2, where you had all of your options available to you at the number bar at the top. So,
Yeah. Yeah. But you could also upgrade your weapons as you went too. And
so, but yeah, I mean, the music in the game, the atmosphere of the game. I mean, it's a Bioshock game.
it, it, it
That's
won a
what.
lot of awards. The music
Yeah,
did.
yeah. And I mean, what was it? Uh, when you're first walking through Columbia, right at the beginning, is you're hearing barbershop quartets and beautiful kind of like turn of the century music, and what Bioshock gets right, and why people should go and play back through the games is because it builds a great atmosphere. The stories that they try to tell, for me, have fallen flat because they are so heavy-handed with their meaning, or at least with their attempt on trying to tell or their story in a way. But the actual atmosphere itself is a prime example of how do you do that and how do you do it well. And that's why Bioshock Infinite, System Shock 2, these games created by Irrational Games are so well beloved. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
And like they set the atmosphere. I think you nailed it perfectly. Like the story may not be, well, I mean, it's a great story. I would disagree. It's a great story. But the atmosphere adds to it very well. And they very much complement each other the whole time. So yeah, it's a Bioshock game. Like it's very complimentary, like very meshes well together. Like, yeah, it's a great game.
Fair enough. Alrighty. Well, shall we dive into the moral rating here?
We can.
All right, perfect. So I'll start off here. I mean, like I've stated with most of these games, at least with Bioshock, at least for Bioshock 1, I was leaning A3, but I went with L. Bioshock Infinite, like I said, I think people should play it, especially if you're trying to, like, how do you build atmosphere? How do you build a way in which you would like your audience to feel or interact in a game? But it is, once again, Bioshock is very violent. I was going through again just to kind of revamp my memory of this game, and your manual attack, right? If you hit them in the head, you'll decapitate them, or you're breaking people's necks, and it's in your face. So I would say, due to the violence, I would put it at an L, because the game. I'm not going to rate it any higher, like O to offensive, and because of the way it portrays religion. It's like it's portraying a pseudo religion, right?
Yeah.
But from through the eyes of people who, at least from what was published, don't seem to understand the purpose of religion. It's more of a pop culture understanding. So I'm not gonna fault them. I'm not faulting them on that. I would just say the violence is quite grotesque in your face, and so and I mean, you are dealing with some pretty awful themes: kidnapping, selling people, racism.
Yeah.
Like right off the bat, right? It's it's very overt in, Colombia is a racist place, to the point where it's like you have the option of throwing a baseball at a interracial couple who was trying to get married in secret, but they got found out, and now they're being drug out and being called all of these horrendous things, not like verbally, but like through the imagery of the game. And the one of the guys makes a comment, and it's just so gross, that I would say it's definitely L for limited audience. Connor?
Yeah, I give it an L as well. It definitely, I agree with a lot of the violence, like the melee weapons. Like, you are forced to go up and get up close a lot of the time, like to effectively, to kill. No bones about it. Just say it. You effectively kill somebody, you gotta melee them. And yeah, you're decapitating, you're ripping people apart, and you're using your melee weapon as well. And it's also, I think I would. Like, it's a very secular way of looking at religion, right? Like how secularists would say what the faults of religion are. It kind of wants you to it forces that upon you, and just like know that you have to look at something and be like, yeah, that's not what we practice as Christians, like as Catholics. Like that's a very grotesque viewing of it. It's a very secular way of looking at it. Doesn't really, that's, you're failing to understand the why. And there is no Christ-like figure in the game. Like they kind of worship these different human beings in a very humanistic, hedonistic way, rather than focusing on like what is religion like actually worshiping, like what is the point of religion to make us a better person. It's, I worship this person because they helped me, they helped my great grandpappy, they helped get this group of people together, they helped build this thing, so we must worship them.
Comstock is supposed to be the here's another thing that falls flat. Comstock is supposed to be that like Jesus figure, but he, the undermining of the character of Comstock throughout the game of, he's a liar. He, killed his wife. The daughter that he has is actually not his and is lying to the people. So yeah, there's issues, many issues there, but anyway.
Yeah, so I'd give it an L as well.
So perfect. Cool.
L for love.
L for love. And then also for anyone who is recently listening in, we do our moral ratings. I have stolen/borrowed the now defunct way that the USCCB used to rate movies. A1 is for all audiences. A2 is for adolescents, teenagers, and adults. A3 is pretty much any adult. L is limited. So, if you're more sensitive to one thing or another, maybe take that into an effect of, what you're wanting to play. And then O is for offensive. It's just kind of like this is going to be offensive. This is going to be in your face. Warnings all around. So that's how we rate games here. And then with a moral rating, we always do our subjective rating. Connor, I'm willing to bet $10. I know what you're going to say here.
Are you assume, James? You assume? You know what happens when you assume, James?
Yes, I make asses out of me all the time.
I would say I would give it. I don't want to say. Yeah, I'll give it 7 baptismal douses out of 8.
That's a way of putting it. Okay.
Yeah, baptism is part of the game.
Yeah, it is. So no, Connor, it's. I really don't have to say anything else about my opinion of this game. I think people should play it. I did not enjoy it, but yeah,
it's an all-time great for sure. Like, it's not a perfect game by any means, but I think it's just one of those games that like came out at its time, and it's on one of the lists of must plays for me. It's not like, yeah.
Sure.
There's the only thing I would say that comes close to a perfect game is Half-Life 2. And this game comes pretty darn close. It's definitely got a lot of the same feel to it.
Fair enough. Oh, so let's see here. I started getting into CigarBid a bit.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
I need to get more cigars. I only have one left.
Fair enough. Mine should be here on Friday. So I got
Amazing.
5 Ave Marias
Oh, I'm jealous.
for $15.
Oh, that's nice. I'm gonna look on it right now.
Yeah, I did a free fall, so
Nice. Not sponsored, by the way.
no. But they what was it? So I looked into it, and it looks like the company that actually owns it is Cigar International, and they're out of Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did they ship it out of Allenstown?
Yeah, they ship out of Allentown. So
Nice. So you got to be there quick then.
oh yeah, it should be here. Should be here Friday, but honestly, it's probably gonna be here a little bit faster.
Is that the one Tom recommended for us?
Yep.
I forget. Okay.
Yep, that's the one Tom I recommended. So I texted him, and he responded.
I haven't seen him in forever. That's the problem. Is like, ooh, they've got Ave Maria Excalibur Tuos. Ooh, those look good. Oh, those look really good. Current price $48. 4 days left. Get a 5,000 cigar humidor. Wow, that's a big humidor.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I'm looking through these. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get some cigars now. Why is everything like 4 days out? What? Relevance ending soon. There we go. Is anything ending soon? They're all 4 days out. What the heck? Do they only
Maria St. George's? No,
Nice.
you're coming in. So the free falls are usually about 4 days out.
Okay.
But if you go to the ending soons, those bids are closing within an hour or a day.
Okay.
So you can go in and bid on those. I found one where the bid wasn't going up that fast, and so I actually found, what was it, 10 Ave Maria cigars for starting.
Nice.
Starting bid was $1, and I threw my hat in the lot, and then it finally closed at 37.
They have a lot of Ave Marias.
They do have a lot of Ave Marias.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's 100. Oh, bid to win is 770. I don't quite have that. Okay, I'm gonna have to look at this a little bit later. I love Ave Marias. I haven't had a bad Ave Maria. I even have my there's another Templar. I think that's Templar Toro. That's what I got all my groomsmen for being my groomsmen.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I got them. That's how I gotcha. I said gotcha. Here's a cigar. Ave Maria. Gotcha.
Romeo Julietas.
I just need to stock up.
10 for 36. My wife is actually like on board. She's actually kind of. I told her about it, and she wasn't like, oh. She was like, oh, that's fun. That's exciting.
Uh-huh.
So
I can see her being. Abby hates the smell. Absolutely despises the smell. So she is not the biggest fan of me smoking cigars, but
yeah. I mean,
we'll have to. We do. I want to. Well, movie nights now happen at the cathedral. A lot of guys will smoke cigarettes, and I'm like, I should bring my cigars and do some of that.
Mm-hmm.
We watched Fight Club last time.
Oh,
the first movie was what was the first movie? Why am I blanking on that right now? I told you it.
It was like Cinderella Man
Cinderella Man, yeah. We watched Cinderella Man, and then we watched Frequency, and then we Fight Club. So the first two were like very good, wholesome men and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were like, we need to go swing the opposite route and see what bad men look like. when we let our passions get the best of us, and then we watched Fight Club. And so we talked about it, and like in the beginning, like it talks about how men are just kind of wimps and they just sit in an office all day and they don't have anything to live for, and so they just kind of go about their day just mindless. And then it kind of swings into they start the Fight Club, right? And so like they're getting their confidence in and they like learning how to fight, and like if it's your first day at Fight Club, like you have to fight. So like these guys who have no kind of will to live, they're kind of like, oh, I gotta fight, and they're like, oh yeah, I feel good, and it's like very camaraderie-esque. And then it turns into the end where they're doing Operation Mayhem and they're just destroying things just because
it's just chaos. Yeah,
it's just chaos and just full on masculinity, not full on not caring, and like he's like very dead to like everything else is like in life is like insignificant compared to Fight Club. It feels like.
Yeah.
So it's a great movie. Don't get me wrong, it's a great movie. But like we definitely had a good conversation of like, okay, it went from like vice to vice, right? And someone explained it really well. So like the vice of the less or whatever, the being weak is at 11 o'clock, the virtue's at 6, and then the other vice is at 1. And he explained that it's easier to go from 11 to 1 than 11 to 6. And I was like, yeah, that was great. I really liked how he phrased that.
Yeah, that's Aristotle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vices are the extremes of a virtue, which is the medium. So, like, you know, to be courageous doesn't mean that you are, courageous isn't the complete absolution of all fear, so that's cowardice on one side, but then you also have like vainglory on the other, right? Where it doesn't matter, like you're willing to die 100%. It's like, no, you're just gonna get slaughtered. Like, you know, courage is embracing the fear and pushing on beyond that, but not acting like a fool. So
yeah, finding that happy medium.
Yeah.
Well, not really happy medium, but finding the virtue
in all things except sin and faith, right?
Right.
So, man, I could just stare at these cigars all day.
I know, right? It's just like I've seen so many. I'm like, yeah, I kind of like that. That's cool. Oh, you can pick probably brands too. Nice.
I'm a big Romeo and Julieta guy, and Perdomo cigars was the first cigar that I ever had, and it's a fantastic cigar. I really do enjoy those cigars. And I
don't think I've ever had a Romeo and Julieta.
I've brought them.
Have you? Have you like tried them though?
Yeah.
Which one do you usually get?
I usually get a Churchill. Usually with a Maduro wrap. I'm usually looking for like a Nicaraguan or Dominican Republic filler. Yeah. I kind of like my darker cigars. I'm not a big Connecticut. The light flavors just kind of throw me off. So yeah. I did have a Julius Caesar once.
Ooh, there's so many. I'm excited for when Andrew moves to town because then he likes smoking cigars, so we can get that back going again.
Well, and now he's talking about like, you know, hanging out and like playing like Warhammer 40K. I should just say screw this and just move back.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut out. Yeah, you should definitely just move back.
No,
should have never moved away in the first place. Hey, I tried talking you out of it. You were,
yeah.
How is being with the in-laws? Are they around at all, or are they just kind of whatever?
So what was it? They've come down about once a month, and then about once every other month, Catherine heads up with the kids. She gets picked up either by like her brother or her mom will drive down, pick them up, and they're there for the weekend.
Yeah.
And then I head up on Sunday and after mass because I work usually Friday, Saturday. So And then
Nice.
I pick them up. We usually have dinner with them, and then we come back down. And so, Diamond Crown Julius Caesars. I've had one of these before. It was like a $25 cigar.
Okay.
It tasted literally like you were eating buttered toast.
Oh, that sounds good.
It was amazing.
How do the free falls auctions work?
So
Do they-
should go. Let's see here. So free fall, essentially, the dollar amount will continue to fall until somebody places a bid, and you automatically win, and so you pay at that price,
Okay.
or the price gets too low, and the site automatically resets. Right.
Okay.
So they still have to, they still have to make like a small profit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's how that works.
Okay. So you probably want to go more towards the end of the cycle to buy those. Gotcha.
Yeah, and I mean, you're like you don't get to see who else is in the lobby. So all of a sudden, it'll just start. It'll say like resetting, and that's because somebody bought that cigar or that listing.
Got
And
it.
basically, it just keeps, or it's the close date on there. It's either until that date runs out, or they run out of that lot.
Okay.
Mhm.
So like, there's some Ave Maria Excaliburs going for like $50 right now. I'm like, oh man, do I wait? Like, that's the problem, right? Like, do you wait just see if it goes down a little farther, or do you snoop in? And
It drops fast. So
it drops very fast. They're down to $44. Oh, someone bought it. Was at $44.
There you go. See. But yeah, so that's how I got my Ave Marias at $15.15, and then it was like $6 something.
Oh yeah, now it's at $95.
Yeah,
interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you said 15.
I got mine at 15. I got five cigars at 15.
Okay, that's not bad.
And then it's $6.95 for the shipping, and then it was like $1 something in state tax. Alrighty. Well, do you have anything else to say?
Yeah, no, that's I got we stream every Tuesday, which today was Tuesday. We did stream a little bit. I was absolutely poo-poo caca at Marvel Rivals tonight. I lost 6 games out of 7. So if you want to tune in something like that, hang out, come on in. We got Twitch at Twitch/Fatal Condor. Come in, hang out. We stream every Tuesday at 7:30 Central Standard Time.
Yep, absolutely. And then, of course, you can always find us at X/Twitter, T Catholic Gamers. You can always shoot us an email at catholicgamerspod@gmail.com. And if you are interested in hearing my thoughts on just random things going on in my life, you can always follow me at my Substack, amalemillennial.substack.com. All of the links for all of these wonderful ways of getting a hold of us and keeping in touch will be in the description. But yeah, anything else there, Connor?
No, you guys were great listeners.
Yeah, so all right. Well, with all that being said, thank you for listening, and God bless.
Bye. Have a great time. Oh, yeah. I found the Ave Marias. Here we go, baby.